Hey, what's up, dudes? Welcome back for another video, and today we're actually talking about lighting. And I know this looks pretty different than normal, and it's because I'm on a webcam, but I want to show you guys how much lighting can actually fix maybe even something like a webcam. So give me a second. Go ahead and turn on a little front light there, maybe a little backlight. Yeah, that's nice. Maybe we'll turn on some LEDs. Now this looks pretty good as is. I mean, it's a webcam. You know, it could be better, but you know, for the most part, it looks pretty decent. Now, there is a way to improve it. Now, if that's something you're interested in, then you got to upgrade your camera. And I'm talking about going from something like this to something like this. And you can kind of see the big difference here in terms of the quality. So when it comes to lighting in general, a lot of people kind of take for granted what lighting can actually bring you and what actually it can do for you. And I thought about making this video just to kind of show off the stuff that I'm utilizing to light myself and how my stream looks the way it is. Now, on top of my Sony a7S that I've been using since 2016, 15 for streaming, I've started to implement different sources of lighting and different things to affect the quality of lighting. So yeah, now I'm kind of where I'm at, and I feel like it looks pretty good. Now, when it comes to lighting, a lot of people kind of just think to put up a light right in front of them, and that's their main source. So normally people have their key light kind of set up right near their camera, and you can kind of see what that looks like right here. It's kind of a little dark and it doesn't really look that good. I feel like this looks really dull, looks really flat, and it looks like I have like a window right in front of me or something like that. I can always switch this over to kind of more daylight colored, and maybe this looks more like there's a window next to me. So I don't know, man. And when I'm saying it looks flat, I'm talking about it's like a directional source directly on me, and there's a hardly, if any, contrast on my face. I can't really move the slide over anymore, so you got this little shadow here, but for the most part, my face is completely lit. Now, when it comes to my lighting, I like to move this light over a little bit more at more of a 45-degree angle from where the camera is to give myself what's called a Rembrandt. Now, if you keep an eye on right here, you'll notice when I move this light over, I'm gonna get a little triangle of light right here on my face. Now you can see where my light is now. It's providing this kind of triangle bit of light. It's also providing a little bit more shadow to my face, and it looks a little more maybe defined, and rather than so flat directly on somebody when facing a camera. You don't really want that. You don't want somebody to look flat. You want to add a little definition to the face. Now, on top of all that, I could again mess with the brightness and change this, but I don't really want to affect the background. So what I ended up doing, I've done a review of this light on this channel. If you guys want to go check it out, I'll link that up here somewhere. Feel free to check it out if you want. It's a great light. It does RGB, all this kind of stuff. Anyways, but I use this as my key light. Now, I do a little something specific to keep that light off the background, and that's what this thing is right here. It's called a grid. Okay, now I'm kind of turning it into a soft, I added a layer of diffusion in there, but that's besides the point. It's a grid. Now, some people call this an egg crate, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. But I put a grid on front of this thing to control the light more than the typical light would normally have. This grid is just controlling the light so I can take it off that back wall. I don't really want to illuminate my back wall as much, so I put this on here to control that. Now you can see if I, pan the slide around, you can see it's a little bit more like a flashlight, and it's more directional rather than your typical key light that you get from Elgato or something like that, which is just gonna throw light everywhere. And you can tell by the angle of the camera, you're not really seeing too much of that light until I reach about there. So you can kind of see what this is doing. It's keeping light off you while keeping light over here. And then again, if I were to move this grid, you're gonna have that light source hitting you almost the entire time until I get these barn doors about there. Now, these also do help, but I put the grid on here, which just is that much more in terms of blocking the light from hitting you or hitting that wall or wherever I don't want it to hit. So now that I have my key light, what I want to do is I want to fine tune and adjust it so it's not hitting that wall, but it's still exposing me to the level I want. So I can keep turning this thing if I really want to. I could allow it to hit that back wall, or I could have it hit me a little bit more. I'm gonna leave it something like there, so it's not really hitting this back wall on my left here, and it's not really spilling back there too much because of that grid that I have on the front. So I want to move on to the next part, and that's giving myself a little bit of a backlight to make me stand out from the background. Now, right now, I don't really have any lighting going on in the background, and that's usually not the way I light. I usually like to light my set and then light talent on top of that, which would be me in this case. But for this demonstration, I'm kind of showing you exactly what these lights are doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on this backlight now by connecting to this wireless light here, turn it on. And now I have a little bit of a source of a backlight. Now you can already see this thing that I don't really want, which I need to fix, which is the amount of spill that this light is going all over the place with. You can see how much my background goes up in intensity and brightness when I turn this guy on and off. You can see just how much it's affecting my background, and that's because it's reflecting light off of a piece of cardboard that I have up there, which is trying to block the light from hitting the lens and flaring you and creating a whole thing that I don't want, but that's all besides the point. Now, on top of all this, I could change the color of my light if I really wanted to, but I generally like to leave it clean white light, or depending on my background, maybe I'll switch it to a blue to match a light in the background, or maybe that monitor right there. I don't know. So now that I have my backlight or my hair light, which kind of pops me out from the background, normally I would like to control that. I would maybe find some black flags or some duvetine or something like that to really shape that lighting, so it's not affecting that background. But what I ended up doing is I just threw some LEDs up in the background just to kind of mask what you're seeing with the exposure going up on these walls from my backlight. Now, if I actually go over here to my other set of lights coming in from Life Effects, and I turn these guys on, you can see that now they're starting to do their own thing, and it kind of looks like maybe the light is emulating from that onto the walls and whatnot. Now, below me, I got an LED strip, which is blue, so it's kind of lighting me underneath with a little bit of blue over here, which I kind of like. I ended up adding another light source, which is this thing called nano leaves. I think you guys probably know what it is, and they've been around for a while. So if I go ahead and turn these on, I made it blue, and now I feel like this whole place kind of is coming together, and this is my scene. This is what I like to do with my lighting, and every day I'll change the color combination of this, and on top of that, maybe I'll come over here back to my my backlight, and maybe I'll switch this over to blue to kind of match maybe this blue light as if it's kind of hitting me there, and maybe it's not looking like the right blue, so I gotta tint it to the right color. Or maybe I want it to be that orangey color, and I come over here to the orange, and now I'm getting an orange backlight to maybe mimic this light, this bar, hitting me. Now, basically, with all this said and done, I want a light that's hitting me, but not directly hitting me, as well as a backlight that makes me pop out a little bit more. Now, if I turn off my key light here, you can kind of see what this looks like with just the backlight. And let me turn off my other individual LEDs back there so you can see what just the backlight is doing here. So now you can see what exactly this backlight is doing just on its own. And again, if I switch it back to this color temperature here, you can kind of see that my monitors and my phone are kind of brightening up my face here, but for the most part, this light's not doing too much. Now, if I actually turn on just my the lights here that are working as my LEDs, you can kind of see what this looks like too when I'm not using any sort of front light or backlight. Now, when it comes to my room lighting, this is it. I could just do this and simply just turn up the brightness of all these lights to compensate for how dark my camera looks here, but instead, I like to add that front light and a backlight to go ahead and make me stand out a little bit more than just utilizing my ambient lights, which do a decent job, but it's not really what I want. So when I'm utilizing my different lights here, it's mainly just to enhance what I have visually around me, and that's usually what I'm doing when it comes to my own lighting. Depending on the lighting in the background, I may want to match my lighting to that, or have it stand out in a way that looks more like it's believable in my space, and that's kind of how I light in general. So that's it. I mean, that's this whole video. I just wanted to show off how I light my scenes and what I use to light myself. And again, it's just two of these little GVM LED lights, as well as these guys back here, which are just providing a little bit of room atmosphere. Now I could turn on one more light, which I have, which is like a little touch light. Yeah, I'll show you. Okay, so it doesn't do too much in this angle, but basically I turn on a light right here, which you can kind of see it's kind of illuminating my hand. Basically, I turn on another light over here, so I have another light that's sitting on a dresser. But that's it. Like, basically, I wanted to show you guys how I light myself, and maybe how you guys could take your lighting to the next level and just do something a little bit more unique than just simply putting a key light in front of you and calling it a day. It doesn't always look the best, and you can really shape your lighting to fit your particular space just with a couple of lights. So, you know, take any kind of light that you have, flashlights, phone lights, anything you got, and just use those to light yourself and try to give yourself a little bit more shape to your face or your background. Thank you guys for watching. Hope this helped you out in terms of maybe lighting up your streams. If it did, go ahead and drop a like, maybe sub to the channel if you want. It's free, and you would get to see the rest of my videos, or you can just go browse those and then determine if you want to sub. Hey, it's your call, man. You're your own boss. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate it. I'll catch you later. Okay, I'm gonna go edit this.